Guys, look at me. Look at this consistency. Part 4 the next day. No, but seriously, I want to contribute it to you guys. I was homeschooled. I want to whatever. I want to give it up for you guys because you're the one that has encouraged me to tell my story and has encouraged me to keep going and tell my truth and my story. So I appreciate you guys so much. I'm gonna get right into it because we only got 10 minutes and I have a whole lot to say. I might even do part 5 today. I don't even know. So, married in 2010, February 2010. Also, what happened in February 2010 is I got pregnant. My son was born August 2010, right? If you do the math ain't mathin'. A lot of people think that the reason why we got married so soon, so quick, was because I was pregnant. That was not the case. I got pregnant at the end of February, but my son was born in August. Like I said, he was born prematurely. He was born at 27 weeks, which is about 3 months early. And I'm telling you all of this now because my pregnancy was not the best. It was a horrible experience. And it wasn't because I had complications or I was at risk or I had a lot of pain. It was because my husband at the time continued to physically and verbally abuse me. At this time, while we were married, we were living in... we actually got this house right before we got married because I remember the day I was sitting on the steps outside of this particular house that we lived in before we got married, and I was on the phone with my dad telling him that we were getting married. And my dad was really upset about that because he wanted us to wait so he can make it out there to be at the wedding, and I was like, no, I don't think we're gonna wait. We want the date of February 1st. Because it would have been exactly 6 months from the time that we made it official in our relationship, and I was like, we can't bend on that date. So he was upset about that, but I remember that we were in this house before we got married because I was sitting outside on that step, and we needed our own place if we were going to take in these kids. So anywho, also my mom lived with us at the time. My mom was doing missionary work in Thailand. And she, because she had gave up everything, sold the house, she gave me the car, basically put everything in storage and went to Thailand for a minute. And so when she came back, she didn't have anywhere to go. So I was like, well, you can come stay with us. You know, we had a 2-bedroom, stay with us until whatever. So my mom was there as well. And so anywho, while I was pregnant, it was just a rough time. It was just rough. I don't remember like any like happy moments. Like, you know, if you know, right? Like the times when you're pregnant and you're like, oh my God, I'm so pregnant. You know, I love my partner. We're doing this together. Like, I can't wait, blah, blah, blah. There are small moments like that. But at the end of the day, it's still like I was still hurting. When I laid my head down to rest, I was still like worried, scared. And was kind of hoping that my son would bring me joy, unfortunately. I remember a specific time where while I was pregnant, he dragged me down the hallway by my arms. And it seemed like it was a super long hallway, but when I'm thinking about it now, it wasn't as long. But I remember him dragging me out of the room, and dragging me down the hallway by my arms while I was pregnant. There were other situations where he would sling me around. You know, the thing about him, and also kind of gives me like some type of guilt, because I feel like I wasn't like beat as bad as other people, or I wasn't treated as bad as other people. And I struggled with that for a little while, and that's why I had difficulties with starting my blog and telling my story, because I felt guilty. Like, I felt like I wasn't I wasn't in a terrible situation like the girl who got punched in the face, or the wife or the mom that got stabbed by their significant other, or the ones that had the big bruises. Like, I felt like, okay, it wasn't that bad. Maybe I should shut up. I want people listening right now to know that it doesn't matter what your scar looks like, what your bruise looks like, how big it is, how much blood there is. It doesn't matter. Nobody should put their hands on you in any type of way to cause harm, period. And if they do, you are a victim of domestic violence, period. There's not a something that you have to meet where, okay, I have a bruise, so I'm a real victim of domestic violence, or my arm is broken, so I'm a real victim of domestic violence. That's not true. If anybody is harming you in any type of way, physically, verbally, emotionally, like, all of that is domestic abuse. And I fought with that for years, and that's why it took me so long to tell my story, because I'm like, am I a victim? I didn't break any, like, he didn't break any of my bones. Like, I don't remember, it wasn't enough for the police to arrest him. It wasn't enough for the police to go out and look for him when I called and he ran. It wasn't enough for that. So maybe it's not real. And so I stopped calling the police. I stopped calling because I felt like I didn't have enough, or my situation wasn't enough for it to warrant an arrest, or warrant, some type of consequence for him. So maybe he's not wrong. But that's not true. None of that is true. And I hope if you're feeling that way right now, you learned today that none of that is true. So clearly I'm going to do a part 5, because I'm already 7 minutes in and didn't really get to, I just had to tell y'all that. I had to literally say those words to you guys, because I feel like that's very important to me. And I keep looking over here because I'm at work right now. So if I'm looking random places, I'm just at work. So yeah, my pregnancy was rough. My mom was there, and she heard a lot of the arguing and the way that he spoke to me and the way that he treated me. And to be honest, like, my mom, God rest her soul, she passed in 2017. And I sometimes get frustrated with the people in my life that didn't yank me the hell out of my situation. Like, I wish my mom, I don't know what she could have done. I just wish somebody would have knocked me upside the head and was like, no, Kat, we're kidnapping you. You need to leave him. We're having an intervention. I wish somebody did that, because I couldn't do it for myself. Who's to say, like, I would have listened? But nobody did that. Like, nobody did that to a point where I'm like, oh, okay, oh shit. Like, okay, maybe I do need to leave, or thank you for your support, or whatever. But like I said, who's to say what I would have done and if I would have listened. So in that house, while I was pregnant, I was working. I was actually working at Chick-fil-A at the time. And I was like so happy to go to work. I just remember always being happy to go to work. I would pick up extra shifts. I would pick up extra hours. I would stay late. I would come in early, whatever it was. While pregnant, I would love going to work. And mind you, I didn't have a car. So I was taking Marta into work at Chick-fil-A. So it was a bus, a train, another train, and then walking to Chick-fil-A. So the day that I gave birth, we're going to talk about that.